For North West Central.
Premier, I refer to an announcement by the Nationals WA Senate candidate Nick Fardell, who has promised to establish an 800-strong defence base in the Pilbara should he be elected on Saturday. And I ask, 1, does the Premier support an expanded army or naval presence on WA's northwest coast to provide greater border protection and security for our states and country's most important assets? And 2, if yes, will the Premier today agree to work with Big Nick Fardell in order to secure this investment from the federal government, regardless of who the Prime Minister is come Saturday night?
Members want to hear this.
Mr. Speaker.
Premier.
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, Minister for Water, I call you to order for the second time.
Mr. Speaker, I can honestly say to you, I've never heard of Big Nick Fardell, and I don't
He's
know
a big
who that
man.
is.
He's a big man.
So Big Nick's policy is that the federal coalition policy? Okay, all right. So I'm now being questioned by an opposition National Party backbencher, not about the state budget we handed down on Thursday, not about that. I'm being questioned about a thought bubble by some guy I've never heard of that is not coalition policy nationally. I'm being questioned about it. Is that the best you can do? I mean, honestly.
Members.
Do you have a strategy group? Do you want me to come and write your questions? Please. Ask me something about the budget, please. I beg of you, ask me about the budget. I beg of you. Honestly, Mr. Speaker. So, myself, as a former naval officer who knows a little bit about defence, is being questioned by someone whose loyalty, it might be said, to the party that put him into Parliament is questionable, Mr. Speaker. Now, you might find that going back through my history in this place, I have made a number of statements, in particular about basing some of our naval assets in the northwest of Western Australia. We have some of our largest economic assets off the coast of the northwest of Western Australia, and our patrol boat fleet in particular is based out of Darwin and Cairns. And I've said that our patrol boat fleets, at least 2, should be based in Karratha or Headland, Mr. Speaker. I've said that on a number of occasions. Well, current federal government's policy has put none there. I mean, honestly, I'll come back to the central point. The coalition has been in office for 6 years. How many assets did they put up there over the last 6 years? None. And we've got some guy called Big Nick. He sounds like a used car salesman to me, Mr. Speaker. Some guy called Big Nick, who apparently is going to fix everything. Big Nick is going to fix everything. Big Nick. I mean, honestly.
Can we get to the end of this question, Premier?
Mr. Speaker, I support the basing of further defence assets in the northern part of Western Australia. I think it's a sensible thing. I've advocated for it for a long period of time. I'm not aware of Big Nick and his plans.
Supplementary. Members.
Richard Miles.
Members, I want to hear this.
Will the Premier task the Governor in his newly expanded role for advocating defence issues to pursue bold ideas such as those put forward by Big Nick?
You don't have to answer.
Mr. Speaker, no, Mr. Speaker, I do. Mr. Speaker, please ask me about the Governor. You've got to remember, it was the Governor, when he was a federal MP, that moved half the Navy to Western Australia. It was Labor that put half the Navy in Western Australia. 1987, the Defence Minister, following the Defence White Paper, the DIB report, announced the establishment of half the Royal Australian Navy at HMAS Stirling in Western Australia. The biggest defence change probably in the history of the country, done by a Labor government. Big Kim did that, Mr. Speaker. Kim did that.
Big Bomber Beasley.
Yeah, I'm looking at the member for South Perth. I'm going to start calling him Big John. Big John. Big Kim did that. And I look forward to him, the Governor of Western Australia, continuing to advocate for West Australian industry, for West Australian defence, for West Australian jobs in exactly the same way as governors of other states do. And it's an entirely appropriate role for him, and I'm glad you agree with me.